Our children are learning to live their lives in schools of all types in the Triad. On today's Triad Perspective, you will hear from leaders who are in charge of making sure your children get the education they need. Sure, you wouldn't trust your child to go to just any school, have any teacher. Well, Guilford County Schools are proud to sing the praises of the best. I'm happy to introduce you to their Teacher of the Year. Her name is Krista, and it's nice to have you with us today. That's great.
Thank you for having me.
That is wonderful. You must be very proud.
I am. I'm very proud to represent my school and with such a distinct honor, and of course my students and my family as well.
What school?
I teach at Ferndale Middle School in High Point, which I've been at. This is my 8th year there, so they're my family.
Well, that sounds delightful. Now, do they do Teacher of the Year every year, or is it
Yes, ma'am.
just happen this time?
Yes, ma'am. Each year, the schools, individual schools, select their what are called local winners, and the local winners get an opportunity to submit a portfolio. It's a reflective process, and we get to submit those portfolios to the district level, and at that point, they're evaluated and judged, and then the district chooses 10 finalists from each of the schools.
Oh my, well, so you're really up there.
Perhaps.
Yes, you certainly must be. So tell me about some of the challenges of your job.
There are many challenges and many rewards being an educator. Basically, as far as challenges, we need to focus on more of having enough time and energy and passion each day. And for me, that comes a little bit naturally. I'm very sacrificial with my time when it comes to planning for my students and giving it all I have. And but that does take time away from your family and those that you normally would spend time with. So having the opportunity to balance and finding that balance is really important. Working with, I guess maybe having more to do with less becomes a challenge. Policy, procedures, funding, things often propose some challenges for some teachers. So it takes that grit and passion to get past those.
And students are different as time goes on. What do you see different in the students today as, say, 5 years ago?
Definitely, I'm not sure that I've seen a whole lot of difference maybe in the past 5 years, but teaching over the past 18 years, I've seen a tremendous difference. It used to be the students would come in and want to be there and be excited about their learning, and now there are a lot of times where the students maybe need a little bit more entertainment and need a little bit more exciting. And going back to the struggles and challenges question, technology often proposes a challenge, so teachers have to find ways to utilize 21st century skills with technology and competing with that type of distraction, so to speak, and make it more engaging in the classroom. So having to advance with the technologies and the changes in technologies definitely is a difference in our students.
That's got to be a big difference. I mean, you can't do all of that in the classroom, so you've got to go home and do some of that at home, which takes away from your family again.
Absolutely.
Has that been tough?
It has been, as far as the amount of time. I think the average secondary, which I teach middle school, so the average secondary teacher spends on about 13 hours of overtime, unpaid overtime, as you know, some people would like to claim. Again, that's a volunteer part of my job that I do so, you know, without reluctance. But it is hard because it does take away from your family. But with those overtime hours, you do need to spend them because it requires you to spend that extra time so that you can really get to know your learner and know each student individually so you can plan for them.
Oh, that's tough. I know I spent some time practice teaching. I didn't ever get a real job teaching, but you've got 2 or 3 individuals that are always a real challenge in the classroom. Is that still the same?
Sometimes it's more than 2 or 3.
Oh, no.
But those are the children that I try to spend the most time with, and building relationships with them, and getting to know their interests so that I can engage them in the classroom. So I typically don't have problems with behavior or discipline issues. It's more of just finding the resources and the tools that I need to be able to meet those students where they are and help them advance and be successful.
So are you counseled by someone?
I do have a mentor within my building. Dory Hall. She's my assistant principal that oversees the math department. Last year we were both at the 6th grade level, and she really helped mentor, encourage, and shadow me to provide me with those opportunities that I needed for success, and to challenge me to grow as a teacher, and that was very helpful. I think it's probably why I had one of the best years I've ever had.
Oh, that's great. No wonder you're Teacher of the Year. You know, I've always heard that students in middle school, that 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that they're the toughest because they're not little children and they're not teenagers yet, well, not all of them, and so they have a hard time figuring out what to do or how to be. Is that correct?
I think middle school is definitely considered like a special breed. They do, you know, propose their own challenges, but I absolutely adore them. I've taught elementary school, and I don't know that I would ever go back. I love my middle schoolers. They're a lot of fun. They do struggle because they want to be grown or want to be adults,
That's right.
but yet they still need the support that our elementary students need as well. And then they start facing their own challenges with identity and socializing, and, you know, to be a mentor to them or a role model for them is really important, and I feel that that's where my niche is.
Well, that sounds frightening to me, though. I mean, how do you keep these kids from going off in a negative direction? Because, like you said, they're trying to find which way to go.
It is a little bit of a struggle. I think being a parent of a now teenager, I've had a little bit of extra ammo in my back pocket, so to speak, where I can leverage, but I also really take the time to get to know what they know. So I'm a big sports fan and love music, and I try to listen to, even though some of it is a little scary, but I love to listen to their music just so that I can relate to them, and I think that's really what takes the fear out of it for me.
So when they go off to high school, how does that make you feel?
Proud, very proud. Luckily, with teaching at Ferndale, I'm right next door to High Point Central, so a lot of, I always call them my children, but they come back and they visit, and I get to celebrate with them and follow them through their successes. Once they do graduate, I'm able to, you know, be Facebook friends with them, so I get to follow how they're doing in school and whether or not they get into the colleges and programs that they're interested in, and maintain contact through their parents as well.
Well, that's awfully important, and I'm glad to know that you're doing that. Good. Well, congratulations again on being Teacher of the Year. That's a big award, and so I'm glad that you got it, and I hope you, well, how about being Teacher of the Year next year? Will they let you, or?
I don't think so. I do want to say, though, it is something that I wish everyone had the opportunity to experience, because it does help validate and show that you are appreciated, and it's more for the profession and for our schools and for our children. It's not just about me, and so I really wish that everybody gets the opportunity to experience what I've been able to experience thus far.
Well, I'm glad you got it this year.
Thank
I think
you.
it just went to the right person, and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good. Well, let's pause for a minute, and when we come back, you'll find out about a special high school learning program that's right here at North Carolina A&T.
I'm Gabrielle Cook, and this is the A&T Historical Minute. Harristown Auditorium is the largest theater on A&T's campus and sets the stage for a variety of productions.
Built in 1939, Harristown Auditorium is named after former drama department chair Richard Berry Harrison. After spending 8 years at A&T, Harrison was called to Broadway to star in the role of DeLaude in the production of Green Pastures. In 2005, Harrison went through a $4 million renovation, which added 5 bathrooms, expanded the stage, and improved the seating capacity to 963. Harristown Auditorium is home to the nationally ranked A&C theater company, the Richard B. Harrison Players. Its stage is used throughout the year for events such as Aggies and Poets and many other student and local productions.
Welcome back to Triad Perspectives. Have you heard of the Middle College at A&T State University? Well, I am proud to tell you more about it right now. My guest is the principal of the Middle College. This is Marcus Gause. Thank you for coming today.
Absolutely.
Very nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
When we say Middle College, it makes us think that these kids are getting college courses. Is that right?
That is correct. So our students finish their high school courses that they need to graduate and move on to college. But during those 4 years of high school, they also get an opportunity to matriculate through the college courses as well. So there's beginning level courses or those entry level courses, they begin to take those. So it will hopefully decrease the amount of expense that they'll have when they actually enter college after graduation.
That sounds tough.
Can be,
Yeah.
Can be. So we do a lot. We're trying to teach them how to pace themselves. We looked at some research years ago, and the research stated that students that go into college that finish their first year successfully have a much higher completion rate than those that don't. So we've started working with students to make sure that they finish and completed that first year of college with all the supports that we provide internally, so that whenever they get to school, they have that exposure, the nurturing that they need in order to be successful and matriculate through.
So they don't have to come to college and be a freshman?
No, absolutely not. A lot of our kids are leaving college or leaving high school with credits to be a sophomore. We have some students that go on to be juniors.
Oh my goodness.
Walking into college, absolutely. Their brains move a little faster than ours did.
I can't remember moving that fast. That's for sure. So how do you select the students, or how do they find you in order to become a part of this program?
So the Middle College at A&T is a public high school here in Guilford County. So all students from all across the county, all male students, are encouraged to apply. So students, we're part of the magnet process. So all students have to complete applications. There's a packet where they have to complete recommendation letters from their teachers. But in addition to that, they come in for an interview, and we have face-to-face interviews with students and their parents. And we try to create that bond or that network that is going to be beneficial for them through high school. And so from that interview, then we select the students that we think we can build a culture with. To create that brotherhood, because they'll be in classes for the next 4 years with one another.
So, I mean, are they extra smart students?
So we take students from all walks of life. So the students that we accept, some of them have had some academic challenges and struggles. There are some students that come that have, they're at the top of their class, but may struggle on the social end of things. So just it's on an individual basis, and that's the reason why we like to take the opportunity to interview students.
Girls and guys?
All males.
All males.
All males.
Okay.
So that's a unique opportunity for us. We're fortunate in this county that the early college at Bennett has an all-girls program that mirrors our program.
I just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good. Well, that sounds great. How, and I hear that you have a great graduation rate.
So for the last 5 years, each of our students has graduated. So we've had 100% graduation for the last 5 years. Since 2013, each of those students has been accepted into college, or university, or military of their choosing. And over the last 3 years, they've collected more than $10 million in scholarships. And that's really great, because our graduation classes are anywhere between 25 and 30 students.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm thinking that the middle college has got to be harder than a regular high school. Is it?
So we take some opportunities for students to build their confidence. And one of the things that we found is students that have the confidence to be able to face any challenge, which we all know that we'll face in life. Once they have the confidence and self-esteem to be able to deal with those, the challenges don't seem as big. And so we prepare them for life challenges with the support and nurturing, so whenever they get to those challenges, they're able to move through smoothly without there being those obstacles that hinder their progress. So on a level of difficulty, we challenge them, and it's rigorous. However, we also support them and nurture them through the process, so that they're well prepared for those challenges that lie ahead.
They don't fail.
Absolutely.
So, but when they go off to college, and they're about, what, a year or two younger than some of the students are there, that's got to be a challenge too.
So for for many of them, they go on to college and they're there with their graduating class, and they don't even know the difference until it's time for them to graduate early, and the students that they entered with are still in school for the next couple of years.
Ooh.
So
now that scares me. That scares me that you put a younger person in with older people. And I'm so afraid that they would miss communications or miss signals, but you've got that under control.
Yeah,
right?
so a lot of the students that graduate, they still graduate at the same time that they would normally in high school. They still enter at the same age they would normally in high school. They just graduate from college a little sooner. And so we do a lot of preparation with them as it relates to these are appropriate conversations for you to have on the collegiate level. These we even have conversations about this is how you approach ladies on the campus where you may be attending
I really
school.
want to hear that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm just so afraid that it sounds to me like they're jumping ahead of where they are in age and everything.
And so we have students that go into college that may have taken 1 or 2 college courses. So it's very differentiated based on where a student's ability is. So those students that we know that can go on and take those challenging courses that have reached that level of maturity, of course, we go ahead and we allow them that exposure. But those students that may need a little bit more nurturing and hand-holding, we walk them through the process a little more closely than we do some of the others.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
I have a 14-year-old granddaughter who's thinking about dating and doing all of that, and it just scares me to death.
Well, I tell my daughter who's 10, she has until the age of 35 to begin dating. That's when we'll discuss that.
That's great.
Absolutely.
You know, most of them expected to be 16 or
Absolutely.
17.
No.
So it's okay for me to say 35.
35, absolutely. Tell her that I said so.
That's great. And you tell those guys that you teach that they don't approach a lady
Will
on a
do.
date till they're 35.
Deal.
Good. I think it's wonderful. How many students do you have?
I currently have 124. And so they are, again, grades 9 through 12. And so our cap is 125. And so every year we have about 300 applicants. And so for about 30 slots. And so we really try to encourage parents and students to apply early and make sure that applications are completed and get that information into us.
Well, it sounds very exciting, and I'm glad to know that we're doing it here. Are colleges or HBCUs around the country doing the same thing?
There are several colleges across the nation that are doing similar models. There are even colleges that are within the state that are offering students that graduate from our programs 2 years of free college once they graduate from our early middle college program. So therefore, they can actually go and get their 4-year undergraduate degree at no cost to them.
You're just too good to be true.
Hey, it's here. It is here. So we
is,
just got to get the kids in to take advantage of it.
That's true. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to make sure, well, I don't have any boy grandchildren, but if I had one, I'd try to see about him getting in that
Please
middle
do.
school. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, Triad Perspectives is delighted to keep you up to date on the education of your sons and daughters that are getting into a university. And as you already know, there are scores of fields that offer lifetime learning. Let me talk to you a little bit later about how that happens. We'll take a break now.
This is the North Carolina A&T State University Historical Minute. I'm Marilyn Parker. The Dudley Memorial Building houses more stone applications than any other building on A&T's campus. A sweep of 15 stones guide visitors to the main entrance. Built in 1893, the original facility contained a library, an auditorium, and administrative offices. In 1930, a fire led to a reconstruction, and the facility was renamed after A&T's second president, James B. Dudley. Today, the building is home to the Maddie Reed African Heritage and H.C. Taylor Art Galleries, music classrooms, and laboratories. The Dudley Memorial Building is located on the east side of campus, directly behind the statue of the A&T 4 and right across from Dudley Road.
Triad Perspectives is delighted to keep you up to date on the education of your sons and daughters. those that are getting into universities. And as you already know, there are scores of fields that offer lifelong learning. Let me introduce the Dean of the College of Education at A&T, Dr. Anthony Graham. Dr. Graham, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going in your department? Are you happy with the way things are?
Things are going well in spite of some of the legislative decisions that have been made at the state level. We've seen a teacher turnover rate of about 10% statewide in North Carolina, which is actually down from last year, which was around 15%. So we're trying to respond to some of those legislative decisions. We've seen decreases in our enrollment in our undergraduate and graduate programs for those individuals who are interested in becoming teachers. So what we've done is we try to respond to those pressures by applying for grant dollars, and we've been fairly successful here in the last 18 months, bringing in about $8.3 million in grants.
Oh my, that's wonderful.
That's very wonderful.
That's very good. Somebody worked hard for that,
Absolutely.
didn't they?
Wonderful faculty who have been very creative and innovative in their thinking, really doing a needs assessment of what we need in terms of STEM teachers and special education teachers, elementary education teachers. So we've went aggressively after these grants to try to really circumvent this tide that we're having with the decrease in enrollment.
So how are you using that money with these teachers?
Great question. About 80% of all those funds will be scholarship dollars.
Oh.
So we're looking at undergraduates going into math, science, technology, and we're paying for their tuition, their fees, their housing. We're providing them with internship opportunities, assistantship opportunities. We're taking care of them from their junior and senior year so that they can go into the classroom to become teachers. At the graduate level, in our Masters of Arts in Teaching program, again, we're paying for tuition, fees, internships, professional development, travel to conferences, so that they can become classroom teachers, and then we're taking care of them after they become classroom teachers by paying for their professional development.
Excuse me. So where was all that money when I was in school?
Same here.
I remember having to work part-time any place just to get enough money to go to school.
Right, absolutely same here. But we're thankful that we have these funds available because for a while we had a drought. We were unable to bring that type of money in, and we were relying really on state dollars, and we don't get much from the state, unfortunately, in education. So to be able to get these federal grants from the Department of Education and from the National Science Foundation is very much a blessing for our students.
So are you out recruiting students to come to your department?
Yes, ma'am. We're recruiting aggressively. We're recruiting here on campus for our undergraduate students. So we're doing a grow your own model. So we're looking at those students who are majoring in biology and chemistry, mathematics, engineering, and we're recruiting them into our program so that we can keep them in the education profession.
Now, I didn't hear you say anything about English teachers. That's what I was.
Same here. Unfortunately, English and history, those are areas where we kind of see stability in the teacher workforce, but it's the high needs area are our STEM areas and our special education areas. So we're trying to do what we can to address those gaps.
You know, back in 1969, when I went out looking for English teaching jobs, the principals or whomever I was talking to said, well, we need science teachers, we need math teachers. And I said, what about English? No, we got plenty of those.
Right. And that's an unfortunate thing because here we are years later in the same boat. We really haven't made the type of progress that we should have made, I believe, so that we can be sustainable in the areas of STEM and special education. So I'm hoping we can begin to do some things differently from a policy perspective as well as from a funding perspective at the federal and state level so we don't have these types of issues moving forward.
So what's causing the teachers to go find work somewhere else?
Unfortunately, the salary in the state of North Carolina has not been competitive as it relates to other states. So we're seeing a lot of our teachers leave the state of North Carolina and they're going right across the border to Virginia where the pay is a little bit better, or going down to Texas where the pay is better. So our teachers are very talented, they're skilled, and they're looking for competitive salaries. So unfortunately, they're leaving the state going elsewhere.
So what are we going to do about that?
Well, again, we've got to look at policy and what we're doing to ensure that the teaching profession is one that we compensate well. The question that I've been posing to folks as I go around the state of North Carolina is, how might we make teaching a six-figure salary career?
Yes.
And what would it take to get us there? Partnerships with businesses and corporations, thinking differently about what we do in education, and getting away from the archaic model that we've had in place for 60, 70 years now. It's time to innovate, it's time to be creative, and we're looking for partners to help us really think differently about how to do so.
If you had one thing in your sights for the future for the Department of Education, what would it be?
For us, it would be two things, actually. I'm going to cheat here. Continue to increase our enrollment, but do so with high-quality students. We need to make sure that we have the very best of best going to stand in front of our children to teach them. In order to do so, we have to make sure that we're preparing them in a way that's rigorous, in a way that's responsive to the students that they will be teaching in urban and rural areas, but also in a way that allows them to come into the major and feel like they're valued. So scholarship dollars, making sure that we can compete with those students in engineering or business on some of the other fields.
Yes, because we can't have just all engineers in the world.
Exactly.
I mean, although our school, I think, does an excellent
job, but we have teachers who are teaching those engineers.
See, that's what I'm talking
and that's what we have to remember. We have to have someone who imparts the knowledge, the skills.
Those engineers have to learn to speak English.
There you go.
I guess I'm harping on my own
right.
way it goes. Well, how many students do you have?
Right now in our undergraduate program, we have in our pipeline right around 200 students.
Okay.
In our Masters of Arts and Teaching program, the numbers are way down. We have about 75 students in that program, whereas when I came in about 10 years ago, we had close to 200 students in that program. So we've seen that program decimated, again, because of legislative decisions. The legislators decided to get rid of master's level pay for those individuals who wanted to get a master's degree and teach. So unfortunately, if you decide to get a master's degree now and invest your own money, you're not going to see a reward on the back end in terms of compensation. So we're seeing people choosing not to pursue the master's degree option. So that's why we went after these grants, so that we can try to offset some of the financial burden.
Well, that makes me sad. I certainly hope that the grants will help. And I'm sure that you probably continue to look for grants.
Absolutely. Right now we're actually looking at a partnership with the Tom Joyner Foundation that will continue to help us look for those STEM teachers and special education teachers to teach in the state of North Carolina. And we're going to continue to look at the National Science Foundation and other places as well. But we're really wanting to see our alumni giving go up a lot more, and our local businesses, corporations partner with us so that we can do some creative things to help staff their industries downrange.
Yep, that sounds good. I certainly hope it works out for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'll come back and major in something else next time. Well, thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if we can ever do anything for you here on Triad Perspectives, all you have to do is make that phone call.
I certainly will.
And we are available. And I hope all of our viewers out there here that you've got a chance now to do some things in Department of Education that you might not have had a chance to do before.
That's correct.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Good. Well, thank you for watching Triad Perspectives today. You can watch us each Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Time Warner Cable Channel 69. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook at Triad Perspectives. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Triad Perspectives _NCATJOMC. And you can watch this and all of our shows on our YouTube channel by searching NC Aggie TV. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. What do you like about the show? What don't you like about the show? Tell us what you want to see on the show. We'll go hard at work for it. We'll take your suggestions on our website, so just type blogs.ncat.edu/TV studio. A special thanks to my guest today, and thank you for watching. I'm Sandra Hughes. Have a great day.